Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Running Things Season 2, Episode 3. My name's Riley. I'm your host. I'm also the editor over at tempojournal.com. Thank you for being with us here today. However you're consuming this product, whether you are listening to the podcast, maybe, hopefully out on a long run, or whether you're watching on YouTube, we're glad to have you with us. Big episode today, doing things a little bit different. We've been on the track for the last couple of weeks, but today we are getting off-road. We're getting into the mountains and we are speaking with Nike trail runner David Laney. Let's jump straight into it. David is a fascinating, friendly, and fun guy. So let's enjoy this conversation with David Laney. All right, guys, Season 2 of Running Things, Episode 3. We only have the big names here on Running Things, but today we're getting dirty. We're going off-road. We're sleeping under the stars. We are speaking with Nike trail athlete, trail OG, actually. This guy's been running trail races since before it was popular. David Laney, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Really well. Thanks for jumping on the show today.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Where do we find you right now?
Yeah, right now I'm actually at my place in Bellingham, Washington, between trips a little bit. So yeah, getting a shower and a shave, sort of, and some good food before heading back out.
Talk to me. Let's. I think it's been a while since we spoke. Let's take it back to I think late June it was.
Yeah.
Little 100-miler for you around the Bridges Loop in Portland. Talk to us a little bit more about that for people who don't know.
Yeah. So we had originally planned a 100-miler in, I think, April or May on the track at Nike. So my fitness was kind of more focused on road stuff for the spring. And then obviously with everything that's going on, that was canceled. But I kind of wanted to do something, and with no real races on the horizon, I decided that I could kind of join these two things that I really care about, clean water and running. and I've always wanted to help kind of support. I really like that Charity Water, the group that provides a lot of clean water projects. So they dig wells and work with partners in that area to bring clean water to the developing world. And so I was like, I don't really know how to help them in a big way, but I do know how to run, and maybe I can bring some awareness to the organization and hopefully raise a little bit of funds and help in a small way, just kind of doing what I know how to do. So I ran 100 miles in my hometown on the waterfront. It was way more pavement than I expected. I mean, I knew it was all pavement, but I didn't really realize what 100 miles on pavement feels like. So that was interesting. But yeah, it was super fun. I ran with my phone, and so it was kind of doing some Instagram stuff and getting messages, and it was a really fun experience, and we raised $6,000, and I think that brings clean water to 125 people. So it's a small, of the 700 million people who need clean water, it's a drop in the bucket, but it's a drop, and for those people it'll be a big deal. So yeah, it was fun.
Surely doing it on the Bridges sort of loop on the waterfront, surely that's better than doing it on a track at Nike, right?
Well, yeah. Yeah, it was interesting. The track at Nike would have been a little bit more shaded. 400 loops is kind of crazy. It's a lot of, one would get dizzy. I only had to do 25 loops because there was a 4-mile circuit.
Yeah.
And it's, downtown Portland is very beautiful. So yeah, in terms of monotony, it wasn't too bad. 400 loops on a track. Yeah.
Talking about 2020 race plans, you're like a lot of athletes, you've had your kind of year changed pretty significantly.
Yeah.
UTMB was obviously the main goal for the year. How do you view that sort of cancellation? Obviously the right call, but still sort of something tough as an elite athlete to deal with.
Yeah, it's interesting. At first, it was just kind of not a real emotional response. I was just kind of oh, this makes sense. there's a lot going on. And now that it's like UTMB week, and like this is where we would all be right now, and we would be getting like, doing it. It's super hard. Like I like woke up this morning and I was like, this is really horrible. It's like you kind of like forget how important it is to you until that day comes. And then you're like, oh, I feel not good. I don't like the way I feel right now. But it'll happen again. And I'm just so thankful to like, be healthy and be able to run and be able to explore my home mountains a little bit more. It's hard to miss out on that community. I mean, you know exactly how it is. Like, so many things canceled this year, and not getting to see friends. It's difficult, but I'm excited for next year, and I think it'll be a really crazy party next year. Yeah,
Yeah, I can imagine.
yeah,
When a race goal is taken away, obviously you're running primarily because you love the sport, but how do your motivations change? And is it on those days where your legs are tired and you don't really want to get out the door, is it more tempting to take a day off, or are you still kind of pretty motivated to get out there?
yeah. So it's almost been worse. So I'm somewhat like working out for me is like an ice cream sundae. And and normally during a season, I limit myself to 2 ice cream sundaes a week. I've got like a hard tempo run and like a hard hill workout. Because that's logical and rational, and that's how a normal human improves their running ability. But now with like no racing, it's like I can eat ice cream sundaes every day. And so you have to be really careful not to overtrain and not to overdo things. And I have kind of just adjusted my training logically. Like I'm just doing more long days in the mountains, less workouts. But it's really, if I want to go do a long day, I just kind of go do it without sticking to the structure of normal, logical, rational training, which I think is okay for right now. It's basically base building. So yeah, my training's totally changed for now, and it'll get back on track when it needs to.
I think that's something that a lot of amateur runners can relate to as well, because
Totally.
we're all at risk of overtraining, right? Because we have so much more time now.
Totally. Yeah.
We're working from home, so that commute and that all that rigmarole of the morning routine is gone. So it's like I can run longer in the morning, I can double in the afternoon, and
Yeah.
it becomes a little dangerous because if some is good, more must be better, right? And
right.
Yeah,
it's a catch-22 for sure.
I think people would be really interested to know, for an ultra runner like yourself, what does a training week look like? Because we probably all assume that it's just, every day in the mountains getting after it. But we also see you obviously do your share of track workouts and stuff on the road. So can you talk to us a little bit about if there is a standard week, what a standard week looks like for you?
Yeah, totally. I think right now a standard week is chaotic and stupid. It's right now it's a lot of just mountain stuff. Honestly, right now it's a lot of low intensity stuff. I've been scrambling a lot and a lot of hiking. You end up like you look at your run on Strava at the end of the day, and you're like, oh, I only ran 2 hours, and I hiked for 8. Great, like. What was I really doing out there? I don't know. How did I spend time? It seems kind of silly. But a normal week would look more like a normal runner week, like when I'm training intelligently, than one might imagine. I think it's probably 3 pretty easy, flatter days. I'll do 1 real mountain long run, and then 2 kind of some kind of session, whether it's on the track or the road, and then another hill day. So honestly, it's like it wouldn't be that different than what I would do going into a marathon, really. Um, Maybe subbing out the hill session and subbing out the long run. Not it's pretty basic. Yeah, not that exciting. Kind of boring. Honestly, when I'm training really well, it's boring.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's probably a big misconception, like, and we'll talk a little bit later on about getting into trail running, because you've had some really good thoughts on that. But there's probably a misconception from people who are new to trail running that like it's all running, and it's not. Like there is a lot of hiking, there's a lot of walking the uphills, and so yeah, it's funny to hear you say that. Like even you look at your Strava afterwards and you're like, oh wait, there's a lot of hiking involved here.
Yeah, totally. I think that is absolutely a huge misconception. You know, I was talking to my mom yesterday. She climbed a big mountain in Oregon, the South Sister, and she said, you know, I can't believe you run up it. And I was like, I'd have never run up it in my life. Like no one runs up it. You walk. She's like, oh, I didn't know you were just out there having a stroll. And you know, it's like funny. Like I think you're totally right. So many people think you're out there running as you would on the road, and this like, you know, quick, fast, smooth stride. And really, I'm like hiking with my hands on my knees half the time. And I think that's just such like a way, you know, once we break down, like it's not trail running. I'm trying to tell people we should call it trailing from now on. Like I'm just going out to have a trail. Because you're not running half the time. You're taking a photo or chatting with friends, or if you're in Chamonix, you're having a blueberry pie. I mean, it's kind of a free for all. Do whatever you want out there.
I've got buddies who will take me out onto new trails, and you know, I'm traditionally a road runner, so we'll get out and we'll get to these really steep, rocky sections that we have to hike, and I find myself internally getting so mad because it's hard, right? I'm walking and it's hard. And internally, I'm like, this isn't even running. This isn't trail running. This is walking. I'm sick of this.
Totally, yeah. Well, I used to do the same thing. So, you know, I came from a road background as well. And when I first started running with people, we'd hike for, you know, an hour. We'd go on a 2-hour run and hike for an hour of it. And I would get home and be like, that didn't even count as a run. What a waste of time. I'd go out and do another run. It's just absurd, you know. It's just absurd, but it takes time to learn. That's okay. Yeah.
Without races now and kind of spending more time on base, and obviously, in your sort of home mountain ranges, does the idea of FKTs appeal to you? We see some people are like fanatical about them. What's your take on FKTs?
Yeah, you know, I've been, first off, I'm really stoked with my teammate Tyler Green for getting the Wonderland FKT. You know, we grew up near each other, been friends for a long time. And it's just like, he's had some injuries in the past, and his running is just coming into its own right now. And it's really, really fun to see. You know, the Oregon Pacific Crest Trail FKT was recently set. It's, you know, it's like so cool to see, you know, like challenging event like COVID usher in just overcoming. Like so many people are doing things different and new and creative. You know, it's really cool to see the way people respond to that. So what do I think about FKT? I definitely have a few on the back burner. I just am trying to decide how much do I want to go destroy myself on some, you know, like, am I ready to go destroy myself again? And that's kind of the question. I'm really enjoying just going running every day and feeling decent. Do I want to be on the couch for a month is the question.
Yeah, because to do that, you've got to, I mean, you have to have some kind of taper, and then you're going to have, you know, a few easy days afterwards. And it's like, oh, that's such a sacrifice when at the moment I'm running every day and loving it.
Totally. You know? Yeah. Yeah. I think the end of September would be the perfect time. Our mountains get pretty snowy in middle of October. So if kind of that window right before the trails kind of close down, that would be one opportunity. We'll see. Yeah, nothing set in stone yet.
For people who might only know you from your Instagram canvas, you know, and I think you've spoken about this before, right? Like everybody presents the best parts on Instagram, but your best parts are pretty special, right? We see all these, you know, amazing views and great parts of the world and great parts of Washington you're running in. Is it? But it's always just you, right? Are you always running solo? Does it get lonely just tackling these mountains every day by yourself? What's it like?
Yeah, that's a good question. I do always run alone. You know, maybe once or twice a year I'll run with a buddy or something.
Wow.
But I actually don't really know anybody around you know, this area very well. And
Is that, could that be because of the long hair and the mustache and the infrequent showers, do you think?
For sure. Yeah, nobody wants to I walk into a coffee shop and people move their seat. Yeah, people they say, "Would you mind showering next time before you join us?" Yeah, you know, I like being out there alone for a lot of reasons. You know, I can do whatever I want. If I decide I want to climb a mountain that I didn't plan to, if I want to, you know, if I go out there and I'm planning to go for an hour or half an hour and I end up going for 6, you know, I'm not dragging somebody with me. You know, it does allow for a little bit more freedom. Yeah, I like being alone. Yeah.
David, I want to talk a bit more about trail running or trailing, the popularity growth in general. Like, you know, I probably first started running a bit of trail maybe 2.5, 3 years ago, and I kind of feel like I was early now with the explosion that like we're seeing in the last sort of 18 months and 12 months in particular.
Yeah.
Are you noticing that? Are you seeing that? Are you feeling that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. You know, I think there's a part, yeah, I mean, first of all, I love it. I love the sport's growing. I love that more people are in the wilderness. I was having a good conversation with a buddy recently about just the future of wilderness. So Congress passed the Wilderness Act. I forget what year it was, but designating all these plots of land as wilderness areas where there's no, like, the hand of man doesn't exist. Like, we don't have mechanized transportation, all these things. And how, like, those places are experienced, but won't always be if we don't have people going out there. You know, a lot of the trails go away. You know, if nobody goes on them for 10 years, the trail disappears. And if nobody cares about these places, they'll you know, these acts can be reversed. The government can change their mind on things, and if a mining company wants to do something and there's enough pressure, it doesn't mean that, you know, they can't go away. So how do we get more people in the wilderness? Running is a fantastic way to experience a huge area in a short amount of time. Not everybody can take a week and do a backpacking trip or whatever. But a lot of trail runners can do a 20-mile day in 12 hours or whatever and see a huge area and really care about that place. So yeah, I think the expansion of trail running is good from that standpoint. I think it's good for people. You know, being in the wilderness and being outside, and just the humility that comes with kind of getting dirty and kind of having a hill destroy you. Like, it's this 1,000-meter hill, and it's like really hard. Like, I'm like, questioning life by the time I'm at the top of it. And it really makes me think about things differently. And, like the adversity is so trivial. It's not really that big of a hill. But it gives you a new perspective. And I think humility is a big part of it. I think, just spending time on the trail kind of helps you understand a little bit more where you fit in the world. Yeah. So it's really exciting to see more people get out there and more people from different backgrounds. It seems like in the past it's been mostly people from the roads come to the trails and they're already runners. Now it's like people who have never run a step in their life are feeling comfortable on the trail, and that's just so exciting.
It's I feel like because of everywhere is different, obviously, but everywhere has had some kind of movement restrictions at some point this year, and so I think people are probably, it's not until something's taken away from you that you appreciate it more. And I think certainly what we're seeing locally is right now when people can't get out to the trail, it's that absence makes the heart grow fonder type thing, right?
Yeah.
Like people are like just longing to get back there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, people will. It's like with UTMB, like exactly what you said. People will be so excited to get out there next year, and just it's just like, and you can scroll pictures on Instagram all day, and it just makes you more homesick for the place you can't go.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You've something that I've loved probably over the last couple of months from you is you've really you've been sharing a lot of knowledge and a lot of insight and motivation for people who are maybe looking to start trail running.
Mm-hmm.
What prompted you? Because was it just woke up one morning and decided that you wanted to try and make it a bit more accessible for people? How did that come about?
So it's been like a 3-year project. Well, maybe 4 years. End of 2015, 2016. Yeah, 5 years. Long time. So basically, my buddy and I started Trails and Tarmac, and our goal wasn't actually to coach runners. Our goal was to get people to start running. That's always our goal. Our internal goal, I guess, has always been get the world running. But we didn't really know how to work with people who weren't runners yet, how to start that. So we started coaching people we knew how to coach, are people who are already trail runners and wanted to improve. And then after about a year of doing that, we were like, okay, I think we know how to interact with people and coach and do this. So we're going to coach 10, we're each going to coach 10 people who have never run more than a 5K for free for, I think we did 12 weeks. So about 3 months, coach these people for free. And it was like half of them did great and half of them didn't do it. And we'd be like, hey, how's your running going? And they're like, didn't do it today. And so, at the end of this program, we sat down and we're like, half of the people did really well and half of them didn't do it. And so we just kind of went through how do we motivate people and how do we talk to people and how do we, somebody who really doesn't want to get out the door, who has life stuff, who has kids and work and, all this going on, how do we work with them and make it really accessible? And kind of talked about how we started running and just actually we kind of just started going around the block. And once you go around the block a few times, then maybe you want to run to the park and back and all this. So it's been kind of a long process. How do we get people jogging? Jogging is the word. Running, we're not even talking about running yet. Just talking about jogging. And then, I writing things on Instagram. I never really know what to say. So I write whatever popped into my brain on the long run that weekend. And it's usually usually a knock-knock joke or something that makes absolutely no sense. Or just, I don't know. And I was like, that's just a waste of time. I'm going to start saying what I really think. And start talking about how to start running. And then, in March and April, everybody was pretty much at home and out of work. And at 7 o'clock in the morning, when I went on my run, the roads and the trails were packed with people running. And I was like, what is happening? Like, everyone's out jogging this morning. It was just like a jogging revolution. And I was like, well, nobody's at work. Everybody's a little stressed. Everybody wants to get outside because they're sitting inside and there's nothing to do. Everybody's bored. They've been staring at their phone too much. They've been watching too much TV. They've been reading the news way too much. Everybody wants to get out. So it's like perfect time. I'm going to start telling people, guiding them a little bit on how to start jogging. And yeah, that's kind of how it's starting, and we'll see where it goes. Hopefully people, if everybody ran a mile every day, I think things would improve dramatically.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Obviously, I get to chat with a bunch of elite runners from different backgrounds, but
yeah,
I find a lot can't always relate to the everyday runner. If you were a great runner in middle school and then went to a top college and then joined a group, you're pretty far removed from, the average person who's trying to take it up. But I was going to ask you, how you are able to relate to the kind of the every runner so well, but it sounds like it's, that kind of experiment a few years ago with training new runners has really paid off.
Yeah, I think it's definitely that. And I think it's in a lot of ways, I was not a very good runner in high school and middle school. I was pretty average, but I just really enjoyed being out there and going to road races. And then I think the other thing is like trail in its nature is just like it just levels the playing field so much. You finish an ultra and everyone just kind of sits around for like 10 hours. And so it's just like this melting pot, and maybe you finished in 18 hours and maybe somebody finished in 27 hours. And your experience, first of all, you have this huge spread. I go to a road race and usually finish and leave. But at a trail race, everybody kind of hangs out and there's kind of this like community. And there's just so much in common, like this shared experience of a 50K on the trail or a 100K or whatever. The shared experience it really brings people together. And the competitiveness is really more intrinsic, I think, in trail running. Of course, when I go out, I want to perform well and get on the podium and all that. And when I'm out there, my mind's totally focused. But when it's over, it's kind of like you're just so humbled by the beauty of the course and the disgustingness of your feet and all this. It's like, it just really, really brings people together. I love what UTMB does. They bring the last finisher up on the podium with the podium people. And usually they just finished. Like the award ceremony is at 48 hours or 46 hours. So the last finisher crosses the finish line and they drag them up on the podium with the top 10. And this person's just, we've all showered and had dinner and slept.
Yeah.
And this person's been on the trail for 2 days, 2 sleepless nights. And it's just like such an emotional experience for everyone. Because it's just like, well, what you did is way harder than what I did. Like, I was out there for 20 hours and I'm fine. Like, I've taken a shower twice. And you were out there for 2 days. Like, I have such a respect for, I have more respect for the people who are slower, honestly, in trail running.
Yeah.
What they're doing is so impressive.
Yeah. I want to talk about a couple of these short pieces you've written on Instagram. I just want to read one out to you that I really enjoyed. You've written, "We have to get over this terrible idea that running hard makes you better at running. For beginner runners, running hard will actually make you worse at running and make you injured and probably make you really dislike running. Running easy will make you improve gradually, make you able to sustain your running, and probably actually enjoy it."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
And it's like anytime we do something like a physical pursuit such as running, like we think it should be hard, right? Like it has to be
Totally.
hard. It has to be hurting all the time. And it's just not true.
Right. Right. Yeah, exactly. So my buddy and I, Ryan Gelfi, we were sitting at a coffee shop in Ashland on the sidewalk. And it's a nice spring summer day, and we see these people running past, full sprint, arms pumping, face red, sweating. And I was like, if I did that every day, I would hate it too. Like that's like if I went out and just ran hard for 30 minutes, I wouldn't be able to do that for a week. Like I couldn't do it for probably 3 days straight. No warm up, just go out all out. Like it, and it's unfortunate because that's really what they think. If I do that, then I will improve. So that's like kind of part of the impetus for this. Just you see people out and they're just running too hard, and their soft tissue isn't developed to sustain that kind of intensity. And if they ran easy for 2 weeks, their soft tissue would develop and it would be totally fine. But they don't make it 2 weeks because their legs are in such pain. And this is just like such a simple message, but nobody knows it. And so we're like trying to get that out to people. But I don't, it's hard to find people who aren't in the running community at all who want to start running and to get that message to them and have them believe it. Because everybody thinks running, if I run harder, I'll improve more. And it's like, no, you go run 2 minutes and then walk 2 minutes. And then run, jog 2 minutes, walk. Like, yeah, it's tricky. It's a tough message.
It's it's like another one you've written here where people who just start say, "Oh, running's so hard, I could never run a marathon." And you say, "Well, who said anything about running a marathon? Running a marathon is not the goal here."
Totally. Yeah, running around the block is like just run around the block. I couldn't have run a marathon when I started running either. But I never thought about I didn't consider that was what I was trying to do at that point. I was just trying to run the middle school or the elementary school jogathon. I was trying to get 10 laps, yeah. There's like these benchmarks we all create, and if we can dissolve that idea that maybe your goal, like the perfect goal is just to run a 5K every day for the rest of your life. Like that would be a very healthy way to run. But yeah, it's hard to talk people into that because they want to run a marathon.
David, you mentioned before that sort of late September, maybe October, you start getting a lot of snowfall where you are.
Mm-hmm.
What's your strategy there? Will you pack up and drive somewhere else?
So luckily, I'm in town at like 600 feet to 1,000 feet, and the snow really hits a little bit above us, 2,000, 3,000 feet up to 10,000 feet. So luckily where I am, it'll be snow-free. Just a lot of rain all winter and cold. And so the mountains kind of the trails just get too snowy. But where I am, it's okay. So yeah, I'll stick around here mostly. Take a few trips, but.
Yeah, nice. And
yeah.
Now, obviously, like a lot of running necessitates a lot of downtime as well and a lot of time off your legs.
Yeah.
One thing we probably don't really hear you talk about so much is what are you doing in your downtime? Like, what are you doing away from running to keep running interesting and exciting and keep you sort of performing at a high level?
Yeah. I've been reading a lot in the last year. I'll read anything. I've been kind of like doing some woodworking. I made a couple of coffee tables out of like big live edge slabs. So like imagine cutting a tree down lengthwise, or you cut it down and then cut it lengthwise in a bunch of slabs, and just like kind of finishing those, taking the bark off, sanding them, putting legs on them. So just
right, so I was thinking you were going to be doing like relaxing, low physical demand type things, but that's not the case.
I've got the sander out, the mask on, goggles. I'm still in my shorts though. Don't worry. I'm wearing
right.
shorts, tank top,
Handheld bottle.
Yeah, no doubt. I do read a lot. I watch a lot of YouTube. I waste more time than I care to admit on YouTube.
Hey, that's great. That leads into a staple question here. Season 1 of our Running Things podcast was just a podcast. Season 2, of course, we're on YouTube as well.
Oh yeah.
Now, if we jumped into your YouTube watch history, what sort of stuff are we going to see in there?
I like bears. I like wolf documentaries. Really like that. You know what? I watched every. Do you know? He's actually Australian. Bo Miles.
Oh yeah, Bo. Yeah, classic.
Yeah, the human being.
Yeah.
Oh my
that was
goodness. Life changing. And he's an ultra runner too. I love it.
Yeah.
So
I enjoyed that mile an hour he did. So he
very good.
For people who haven't seen it, I'll link them in the show notes. But basically, this guy every hour ran a mile around his property, and then when he'd finished running his mile, he just had this insane list of tasks that he wanted. Like I think he built a coffee table, and he did like he patched some pants and like just did all this crazy stuff.
Shaved, yeah. It's just he's really creative, good energy, great storyteller. And he does cool, he slept in his gum tree. He ate beans for a month and a half, only beans. No tortillas.
And then he finished he finished the bean experiment by running an ultra.
Yeah, exactly. 50K
on beans, right? Like he was just eating tins of beans while he ran.
Yes, only beans. I think 4 tins of beans. That's a lot of beans. Yeah, that is an absolutely great film. I've told everybody I know to watch it. He gets really real about it too. He's like, everybody thinks this is a really fun experiment. And it's like lighthearted or something. And it's actually really not. It's like everything I'm thinking about is how I'm feeling based on one thing. And that's me eating exclusively beans. And it's just, and then he says, like, I want to find out why I have this desire to do things that are really uncomfortable. And I think that just like gets at the heart of a trail runner. I think if we all knew why we did this really horribly uncomfortable stuff, like I think that question just is so motivating. Like, why am I? Like, so many times I've been out there, like, why am I doing this? I don't know. I hope I don't find the answer.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. Like keeping that sort of in your mind, but just out of reach. Is probably the nice, happy spot to be with that question.
Yeah. He's a great philosopher too.
Yeah. Oh wow, I can't believe this came up in this conversation. I'm glad to have an excuse to talk about it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, me too. I tell everybody. I tell all my friends. I'm like, oh, you gotta watch Bo Miles eat beans, and they're like, and I'm like, no, sit down.
And I'm watching this. All right, my last comment on this, but I love that in the bean documentary, just to get a little crazy with it, he takes off all the labels.
Oh yeah.
So it's a bean lucky dip. Like every day for lunch, when he opens a tin of beans, he doesn't know what beans he's getting.
Black beans. Classic. Yeah, it's good.
All right, that actually leads into another staple question. When you're done with your coffee tables for the day, you're sitting on the couch either for some YouTube or to read a book. What's your go-to snack food?
That's a good question. I've actually been baking a bit lately. I feel like that's what everyone. I saw a meme the other day that said, "We've been given this opportunity to figure out life and get deep with our thoughts," and everyone's like, "No, I'm learning how to bake bread." And yeah, I fit that for sure. I've been baking cookies, bread. I'm not that big of a bread fan, but I just kind of wanted to work on that skill. Mostly cookie. I bake a lot of cookies. Yeah, I'll be real. Chocolate chip mostly. And that's pretty much what I'm eating.
Healthy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Last question. If you could, let's talk 2021. UTMB is back on, peak race for you. If for the whole of 2021, you could only wear one pair of shoes. So you got to do your long mountain runs, you got to race, but then you've also got to do your speed workouts, your road running. One pair of shoes. What are you choosing?
I just happen to have them here. They smell horrible. Peg Trail too. I thought that might have been
the answer.
Yeah. It's just great. It's just so versatile. You get so much the React foam is awesome. Great stability on the trail, and I run on the road a decent amount in them too. And they've lasted a long time. Yeah, that would be my choice. I would race in it for sure.
That's actually, this is not a sponsored question for anybody watching or listening, but, talking before about like the boom and the explosion in trail running, one of the things we've seen is a lot of brands and probably particularly Nike, like really changing up what trail running shoes look like and the features and benefits and that sort of stuff. Again, has that been something that's been cool to be a part of?
It's been super fun. So started working on the Kiger in 2013, the original, and it's just come a long way. It's just been fun to be, just in a little bit of part of that process of like testing product and talking about it and making little tweaks and just seeing. It's like watching a child grow up. It's just like, it's cool watching it, just see the changes from 2013 to now. It's fun.
Look, I could chat, especially now that I know you're a Bo Miles fan, I could chat with you all day, but we'll leave it there. Looking forward to seeing more of you on Instagram and seeing what you're up to, and wishing you all the best for the rest of 2020. Thanks for being on the show today, Dave.
Yeah, thank you guys. Yeah, absolutely. Same to you, and look forward to following what you're doing. If you're ever in Washington or the West Coast, we'll go on a run. It'll be fun.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
That was a fun one. I hope you guys enjoyed that chat with David Laney. If you're not super across trail running, I think David's a great place to start to try and get a bit of insight around it. I think the way he speaks about it is really accessible and approachable. And he shared some really good tips for getting into it. A lot of it is hiking. It's not all running up these really steep mountains. We'll share some links to David's Instagram down below in the show notes. I'll also share some links to some Bo Miles content. I really didn't think that was going to come up, but I'm so glad it did. So much entertainment there. Next up on the show, this could be our first ever world record holder on tempo. I'm not quite sure of the facts on that, but world record holder, Olympic gold medalist in the 400 meter hurdles. We are speaking with Dalilah Muhammad. I am absolutely excited for that one. I can't wait. Going to be a really special episode. If you are listening as a podcast, please enjoy the rest of your long run today. If you are watching on YouTube, thank you so much for being here with us. Hit that little subscribe button. It does us a lot of favors. Thanks so much, guys, and take your easy days easy. Thanks so much for watching Running Things here on YouTube. If you haven't already, do us a favor, hit that little subscribe button. It really helps out our channel. Also, tell your friends, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram @Tempo Journal.